So are you contemplating getting a new dog, a new rescue, or one from the shelter, or pretty well a dog from anywhere? Well, there's a whole lot of things you can do to make the adjustment into your life smoother and better for you and your dog. And the webinar that's coming up, I'm just going to introduce a little bit. What it looks at is what can you do before the dog arrives, what can you do when the dog arrives, and what do you do afterwards. And the very simple things. We're going to talk about setting up rules. Where do you feed the dog? Where does the dog sleep? Are they going to be having any boundaries in the house? They can't go there, but they are allowed there. Get your equipment sorted out. Collars, leashes, harnesses, pet food bowls, crates, whatever. Some people say, I just don't know the size of the collar or something. Well, that means you haven't even looked at the dog before you're adopting, so no, that doesn't wash with me. You've already seen this dog a couple of times and be making a slow decision on it, not a fast decision where, boom, you've got to go get things right now because the dog's coming in 10 minutes. So make sure you got the time. And now the other side is, at the shelter, walk the dog before you pick the dog up to bring it home. You'll see why. And then you don't go directly to your house. You park 10 minutes away and then you walk to your house. That has a big psychological thing on your dog and a little bit on you. So make sure you do that. Then you lead around the house, introduce to family members, and do some group bonding. Again, we're walking again. And get your daily routine going, get all the family members involved, and over that first 3 weeks or so, that's the critical time, introduce your dog to as many people and dogs as you can. Okay? So webinar's coming up. Mike Ammon has recorded this for me, and so have a look at it, and you're going to find a whole lot of wonderful nuggets in there that you can use on your new dog.
Number one on our list, we want to start with rules, boundaries, and limitations before we pick up our dog from our local shelter or rescue organization. This means that as a family, we sit down and we set up and design clear rules, boundaries, and limitations that we have as a group and expectations for our dog before they get into our care or come home. This means we're going to look at where, as a group, do we decide we want the dog to sleep, where we want the dog to eat, where we may place their rest or relaxation areas or beds, what parts of the house they may or may not be allowed to be in, where we want them to eliminate in the yard, how we want to structure our walks. We want to look at our daily schedules as a family and how that's going to work into the new dog coming into our home. This is really important to have everybody on the same page. It is a large commitment to bring a dog into your home, and you're going to have these animals hopefully for a very, very long time, and we want to love, care, and nurture these animals as a group as best as possible. So it's really important to be consistent and make sure we're all on the same page. Number two, we want to buy any tools and equipment for our dog before we bring the dog home. So what we want is we want to be prepared to have all of the things that we're going to be using, or our dogs, our new dogs, items that they will have before they get to our home, so that we can introduce them from the very beginning. So this means we want to go out and we want to get a leash, a collar or a harness, a dog bed, dog bowls, and food. Now, some people wait based on the fact of I want to make sure my tools fit properly. I want to make sure I get the right bed to match my dog's coat. I want to make sure I know what the dog is eating already prior to it coming into my home, and those are all great points. However, you should already know all of this information. One thing I wouldn't suggest doing is getting up one morning and deciding to head out to the rescue or shelter and coming home with a dog. You should have this all planned out. You should have already visited the dog, already seen if there was a connection, if the energy matches, And based on that, you will have an idea of size of dog, color of coat, and one of the questions you definitely want to ask the rescue or shelter is what kind of food is the dog currently eating, and you may probably want to already pre-purchase some of that food before the dog comes into your home. Number 3, when we head to the shelter or rescue to pick up our new dog, the first thing you want to do once you get there is you want to walk the dog before you leave. So what you want to do is you want to bring the leash, collar, harness with you to the rescue or shelter. And of course there'll be some paperwork and things of that nature that you'll have to do. But what you guys want to do is you want to put the dog on leash and you want to do a leash walk before you get into the vehicle and drive to your neighborhood. You want to start this bonding process from the very beginning. There's also going to be a little bit of a trust process that you want to work through. A really easy way to do that is to do a nice structured leash walk, accomplish a task together and a goal, and let the dog know that you can lead it somewhere safely and lead it back safely. It's a really nice little transition rather than just leashing the dog up and popping them straight in the car and removing them from whatever familiarity they have of the rescue and shelter care. Number 4, when you get back or you're heading home, so you're in the vehicle now and you've left the shelter and you're driving home, what I would want you guys to do is try and park about 10 or 15 minutes away from home. Now this might sound a little bit funny, but this is a really nice way to continue what you started at the shelter. So this means I want to park about 10 or 15 minutes away from my house. I want to get out of the vehicle, leash the dog up, and I want to walk my dog through my neighborhood to my house. Again, it's a nice bonding opportunity, and we're following the same program we started at the shelter, which is that I can lead you somewhere safely and you can trust me. Aside from just pulling up in the driveway, pulling the dog out of the car and bringing it inside a new environment. We want to really take care, especially that first day, of creating that relationship and that bond. So parking 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes away and walking with your dog on leash through the neighborhood to your house. As you're walking through the neighborhood, it's also a nice way to get your new dog used to the sights, smells, scents and sounds of the neighborhood it's going to be living in. And maybe some areas that they can eliminate, already put their scent on some areas that you're going to commonly use for an elimination spot on the boulevard, in the park, or somewhere that you have near your house. Number 5, you want to, when you get to the home, lead your dog, the new rescue dog, around your house on leash first. So again, we want to keep this bonding going and we want to keep this trust going. It's a third opportunity to lead my dog around and have my new dog earn a little bit of trust inside the home. So I'm just going to calmly lead my dog from my new dog from room to room or place to place inside the house, let them smell and investigate, and lead them through. Now, if everybody didn't come with you to pick the dog up, after I've accomplished my walk to the house and I've walked around inside the house with the leash, my dog's getting comfortable with some scent and that sort of thing. Number 6 would be introducing any family members that may have missed that journey. So this means we are now going to let our dog off leash and bring any of the family members or people living with you into the room or into the house so the dog can introduce itself by scent and smell them and have a nice meeting. Now I would suggest that you all went to the rescue and did steps 1 through 5 as a group, but that may not always be possible. So again, step 6 would be introducing the family members after we've accomplished 1s through 5. Step 7, after my dog has met our family members, it's now time to do a group bonding experience. So again, if there are some new people added into the scenario at that point, we want to leash our dog up. and go for a group walk again through the neighborhood. This might be 15 or 20 minutes walk through the neighborhood as a group, so we all get to join in on that bonding experience. Now when you do this, it's really important to share the leash with everybody in the group so that it's not just one person walking the dog. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to lead the dog by a leash, and the dog gets an opportunity to trust everybody equally. Now, we should be sharing the walking task as it goes, so this is a really nice little introduction to the leash walking with each family member. Number 8, as we're getting into looking at our next couple of weeks with our dog, we want to make sure, number 8, is set a daily routine schedule. This daily routine or this daily schedule is going to help reduce stress with the dog being displaced. Dogs thrive, and so do people, on a structured routine or schedule that we can sort of follow and rely on. So as a group, we want to get together and make sure we're designing what we want our schedules to look like with the dog. Who's walking in the morning, who's walking in the afternoon, who's walking in the evening, who's feeding in the morning, afternoon, and or evening as well. And splitting these tasks up and all being involved in it. Who's doing the specific chores with the dogs, and making sure, especially in the first couple weeks, that we're being fairly structured and routine about it. This will again help the dog adjust to the new environment with some nice calm coaching and leadership by way of us all working through a structured routine or schedule with our new rescue dog or our new pet or family member in the home. Number 9, all family members should be involved in a feeding schedule. When you do this, it's also a good idea to make sure that everyone's scent is in and around the food bowl or on the food. The scent is a very powerful thing for a dog, and it's a real intimate experience that you can share with the dog is by way of feeding them. So we want to make sure that all the family members are included in the schedule of feeding, and we want to have some structure with the feeding. Again, it helps reduce stress in the dog and creates a daily routine. One way that you can create scent is to rub your hand around in the food bowl or even in the kibble. If you want to go as far, whatever you're feeding, if it's raw food or wet food or kibble, get your hands in there as well, or if you cook for your dog. Just getting your scent in and around on the food is a really nice way to tell the dog, tell your new dog that you're a part of the feeding ritual. It's a nice little intimate bonding experience, and we want everybody in the house or everybody around to be involved in this. Number 10, make sure over the next 3 weeks or in your first 3-week period that you've spent time introducing your new rescue or shelter dog to your neighbors and or your other neighbors' dogs. You want to make sure that the dog gets comfortable with everybody in your immediate community. It's really important. And dogs are very community orientated. In the first 30 days of having your dog, they will be the most open to meeting new people. They will be a little bit more surrendered to their environment, being that they're in a new environment. So it's a really easy or nice time to introduce them to all the things in your environment or in your neighborhood. Also gives the neighbors a relationship with your dog, makes things a lot easier. If your neighbors have dogs or neighbors leash walk with dogs, the way we should introduce our new shelter and rescue dog to our neighboring dogs or our neighbors' dogs is that try and design times to join in on their leash walk. Now the reason we want to do this, and especially in the first 30 days, is we want our dog to learn to be a team member with the other dogs in the community. And a really nice way to do that is to get them walking together in the same direction and try and get into a bit of routine. The more neighbors you can find that want to walk with you, with your dog and their dog, the easier it's going to become to have your dog associated or have a working relationship and a partnership with the dogs in the neighborhood. One thing you don't want is to come home and shelter your dog or avoid having your dog meet the people and other dogs in your neighborhood. This could create some tension, especially if dogs are sort of meeting each other through the fence. This can create some fence fighting and just some tension that's really not needed. So again, really important in the first 30 days to get out and introduce your dogs to your neighbors and your neighbors' dogs by way of being out on that structured leash walk. Number 11, introduce your dog in the first 30 days to a veterinarian. Now, it's important to start that relationship as well. So I like to tell people, if you have a local veterinarian that you're going to be using, it's in the first week, 2 or 3 weeks, even if you don't have an appointment booked, it's important to get your dog on trips to the veterinarian office, maybe going inside, giving them a quick liver treat, saying hi, and then coming outside the door again. This is somewhere that your dog's going to need to go over the years, and we want it to be a place that your dog trusts. A mistake that's usually made is I get my dog and I only take them once a year to the veterinarian, and there's not a lot of interaction other than an examination, which can create a little bit of stress on the dog. So all of these places that you're going to be going, you want to get out and visit and have your dog know that you know, we can go to the vet office. I can see all the people that work in there, say a quick hello, give them a nice liver treat, and that can be part of a daily walk. So getting your dog acclimated and introduced to your veterinarian or your vet hospital is a really, really important step in the first 30 days. As well. This is especially important if your dog is already somewhat fearful of vet appointments or lacks experience being at a vet office. Number 12, find a local obedience class. What you want to do is research your local obedience trainers and get yourself into a group class. In that first 30 days, if you can find somebody and sign up for a class and get some structured momentum going, it's a really nice bonding opportunity. And again, one more thing that you can take your dog to that's structured, and they learn to trust you, and they'll also get around other people and dogs that way as well. It should also give you some homework or some working momentum at home by way of obedience. Daily obedience training throughout the day with your dog, another activity that you guys can do and enjoy. When you're looking for a local obedience trainer, it's important to canvass your local professional canine community, pet stores, dog groomers, especially your veterinarian, and try and get some references and ask about who the local trainers are and who they might recommend. And then second to that, give them a phone call, have a conversation with them on the phone, and just make sure that you guys are jiving. You want to show up to class comfortable with the environment you're going to be working in, and that way your dog will be comfortable as well. Number 13, and our last topic for your 30-day survival guide. In that 30 days, you want to make sure that you create at least minimum 30 to 50 social experiences locally with your new dog to get them acclimated to becoming a well-rounded, productive member of your community and canine good citizen or good neighbor. That first 30 days is vital into getting your dog enrolled and involved in your community. I hope you guys really enjoyed this webinar on the 30-day survival guide for your new rescue dog.